So this is the yellow light of death, so named despite actually being a red light. This will happen on older PlayStations that have been used for a while. Apparently it's when the solder connection between either the CPU or the graphics card heats up and cools a bunch of times from normal use and eventually just shatters, so you lose the connection between the processor and the motherboard. The solution is to reflow the processor, which is to heat things up until it melts and flows back into where it's supposed to be. It's a temporary fix, diminishing returns, but it might let you squeeze another couple extra months out of your PlayStation and get a backup at least, so you don't lose all of your hard work and saved games. There are a couple of good videos up here already that show how to do this, and I'll link to them, but they're all for kind of the newer model PlayStations, and this is the one that I've got. It's kind of the big old behemoth first generation, and so the procedure's a little bit different, so I'm going to take you through and show you how to do this properly and reflow it so that you can get all your saved backups and whatnot. Alright, let's do it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is remove this top cover. This just sort of slides over to the left like that and then lifts up. And over here on the left side, I've got two pieces that are kind of important. There's this screw here that's usually covered up by a little rubber foot, but mine's been off for a while because I pulled it off when I first did this and lost it. And there's also this little cover here that holds the hard drive. So take your fingernail or flathead screwdriver, just pop that side off, and this just lifts up, and there's the hard drive. So you need to take this blue screw out in order to pull the hard drive out. And I guess people say that this is really easy to strip, so it's important to have the right size screwdriver. I didn't have a problem just using this normal Phillips head screwdriver. So that comes out. And just lift this tab up. This slides over to the right, and the hard drive just lifts out. Next, take this screw off here. Like I said, usually there's going to be a little rubber piece on that that you can just kind of pull off in the same way and set that to the side, unless you're irresponsible like me and want to just lose it. There are going to be a lot of screws in this, by the way, so it's useful to have a little organizer or something to keep them all separate. That one just comes off. Looks like that. Okay. Now, I can take the main cover off here. There are a couple of screws, a whole bunch of them actually, you're going to need to take off here. They're shown by these little arrows. So there's one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. This one up here, you can see has a little S with an arrow. That one's shorter than the others. I've already taken a couple of these off. Most of them look like that. They're pretty long. This one, let's see in a second here. It's a little bit shorter. Okay, so let's get the rest of those off. Okay, so that's all of these. Now this piece, like the top cover, just sort of pops off, ideally. Yeah, just lifts up in the back there. Let's see what I'm doing. And it just comes off like that. Set that off to the side. You can see the contacts for the power cable there. On some of the newer models, there's actually a little connector here that'll anchor it to the actual power connector on the motherboard. So that's part of why it's important to make sure you're following the right directions for your actual PS3, because just lifting it off like I just did there, you might actually break something if you have the wrong kind of system. So now you can see some of the guts here. That's the power supply, Blu-ray driver. This is the Wi-Fi cable and the Blu-ray receiver back here. So the next thing we're going to do is pull all of these off. So what you got to do, there are a couple of screws back here that go to the power supply. There's one there, and then this is the ground right here, and another one there. So let's take all of those off. Make sure this washer that goes with the ground stays attached to that screw. That's an important part of the grounding. Make sure you don't short something out. It's easy to kind of drop that off. So make sure you lift that off as a unit. You've got those off. Can disconnect the Blu-ray unit next. So let's first unplug this from the motherboard. This just lifts straight up, not too much trouble. Pretty sturdy, you can give them a little bit of a wiggle. Okay, so now we're going to pull